Hey everyone! Today, let's talk about some big news. TikTok is back in the Apple and Google app stores in the US. So, what happened? Well, TikTok was removed for a short time last month because of a ban. But now, people in the US can download it again. Why? Because President Donald Trump decided to delay the ban until April 5th. Now, let's break this down so it's easier to understand. First, when we say TikTok has returned, it means it was gone for a while, but now it's back. App stores are the online shops where you download apps. Apple has the App Store and Google has the Play Store. Since TikTok was removed, people in the US couldn't download it for some time, but now they can again. The reason TikTok was removed in the first place is because the US government wanted the app to be sold to an American company. If that didn't happen, they planned to ban it. The word ban means to officially stop something from being used. The deadline for this ban was coming soon, but President Trump decided to postpone it, which means to delay it or move it to a later time. He gave TikTok 75 more days to fix the issue, so the new deadline is now April 5th. While all of this was happening, TikTok went dark for a short time last month. Went dark is a phrase that means something stopped working or disappeared. In this case, TikTok was removed from the app stores, so people couldn't download it. The news says this happened briefly, which means for a short time, and it happened as the ban deadline approached. The word approached means came closer, so this means TikTok was removed just before the ban deadline was about to happen. Then Trump signed something called an executive order. This is a special rule made by the president. In this order, he granted TikTok a 75-day extension. Granted means gave, and extension means extra time. So basically, Trump gave TikTok 75 more days before the ban would take effect. The rule says that if TikTok is not sold to an American company by April 5th, then the app will be banned. The phrase "if it is not sold" means that the ban will only happen if a TikTok is not sold. If someone buys it, the ban won't happen. Finally, after all of this, the news says, TikTok did not immediately respond to a request for comment from BBC News. This means that BBC News asked TikTok for a response, but TikTok didn't reply right away. The word immediately means right away, so this sentence tells us that TikTok hasn't said anything about the news yet. So that's the situation. TikTok is back on the app stores for now, but if it's not sold by April 5th, it could be banned again. We'll have to wait and see what happens next. Now, let's talk about how TikTok actually came back to the app stores. According to Bloomberg, which was the first to report this news, Apple and Google only decided to bring TikTok back after getting a kind of promise from the Trump administration. This promise, or assurance, meant that Apple and Google wouldn't get in trouble for allowing people to download the app. Basically, the government told them, "Don't worry, you won't be held responsible, and the ban won't be enforced yet." Because of this, Apple and Google put TikTok back in their stores. Now, let's look at how this ban actually became a law. The ban was passed in Congress with support from both major political parties, which is what bipartisan vote means. It wasn't just one side pushing for it, both Republicans and Democrats agreed. After that, former President Joe Biden signed the ban into law. The law said that ByteDance, the Chinese company that owns TikTok, had to sell the US version of the app to a neutral company. If they didn't, TikTok would be banned completely. The word outright here just means fully or completely. So if ByteDance doesn't sell TikTok, the app won't just have small restrictions, it will be banned entirely. Why did the US government want this to happen? The Biden administration argued that TikTok could be used by China for spying and political manipulation. Spying means secretly collecting information, and political manipulation means trying to influence people's opinions or elections in a sneaky way. The US government was basically saying, we think China might use TikTok to watch people or spread certain political messages. But China and TikTok have denied these accusations many times. Denied means they said it's not true. Beijing, which is the capital of China and where the government makes big decisions, has also refused to sell TikTok's US operations. In simple terms, China is saying, we won't sell TikTok, and we are not using it for spying or politics. So that's the situation right now. TikTok is back on the app stores, but the future is still uncertain. If ByteDance doesn't sell TikTok, the US government might still try to ban it. We'll have to wait and see what happens next. Now, let's talk about how the ban actually became law and what happened after that. In the US, lawmakers from both major political parties, both Democrats and Republicans, supported banning TikTok. When we say lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, it just means that politicians from both parties agreed on this decision. The ban was even challenged in court, but the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the US, decided to uphold it. Uphold means that the court agreed the law was legal and should stay in place. Now, here's where things get interesting. Former President Donald Trump had actually supported banning TikTok during his first term in office. But last year, when he was running for president again, he seemed to change his mind. The phrase change of heart means that he started thinking differently about something. Instead of supporting the ban, he started talking positively about TikTok. He even said he had a warm spot for the app. This is just a way of saying that he liked it. Why? Because he said his videos on TikTok got billions of views during his presidential campaign. Touting means to brag about something or talk about it proudly, so he was promoting how much attention his TikTok videos received. Then, when TikTok started working again in the US last month, something interesting happened. The app sent a message to all its users, and in that message, it actually thanked Trump by name. This was unusual because apps don't usually send political messages like that, but TikTok clearly wanted to acknowledge his role in delaying the ban. Now, let's talk about TikTok's CEO, Shou Chew. After Trump won the presidential election in November, Shou Chew actually went to meet him at Trump's resort, Mar-a-Lago. Later, he even attended Trump's inauguration ceremony, which is the big event where the new president officially takes office. This shows that TikTok's leadership is trying to stay on Trump's good side. Trump has also said that he wants to find a compromise with TikTok's Chinese owner, ByteDance. A compromise means finding a middle ground solution that works for both sides. He said he wants to follow the spirit of the law rather than the letter of the law. This means he doesn't want to strictly follow every detail of the law, but he does want to respect its general idea. He even suggested a new idea. What if TikTok was jointly owned by different companies? Jointly owned means that instead of just one company owning TikTok, multiple companies could share ownership. So, for now, TikTok is back, but its future is still unclear. Trump seems open to a deal, but whether that happens or not, we'll have to wait and see. Here's an interesting part about what Trump said regarding who might buy TikTok. He mentioned something like this. What I'm thinking of saying to someone is, buy it and give half to the US, and we'll give you a permit. This means that Trump was suggesting that whoever buys TikTok should give part of it to the US, basically have US control over part of the company, and in return, they would get permission to keep the app running. He said this during a news conference where he was also talking about artificial intelligence. Trump also mentioned he would be open to selling TikTok to certain people, like Larry Ellison, who is the co-founder of Oracle, and also billionaire Elon Musk, who leads the Department of Government Efficiency in the Trump administration. Musk is famous for running big companies like Tesla and SpaceX. Before this, there were some other big names that were linked to the idea of buying TikTok. One of them was billionaire Frank McCourt, and another was Kevin O'Leary, a Canadian businessman who is also a celebrity investor on the show Shark Tank. If you're not familiar with Shark Tank, it's a popular TV show where entrepreneurs pitch their business ideas to wealthy investors. It's the US version of Dragon's Den that you might know. And here's something really interesting. Jimmy Donaldson, who is the biggest YouTuber in the world, also known as Mr. Beast, has said that he might be interested in buying TikTok too. He shared on social media that a number of investors reached out to him after he posted that he was considering it. So now there are lots of big names connected to the idea of buying TikTok.